Hi there, this is Carolyn Pitts, author of 8 Intentions for Self-Healing. If you read my bio, you might have seen that I'm a healing touch professional, and you might be wondering, what does that even mean? What is healing touch? And so I thought what I might do today in this video is read to you from chapter 5, which is about intentional vibrations. And this is where I introduce healing touch in the book. And I do have many stories in here from clients that I've worked with. And I will say there's a disclaimer in the front of the book. I've changed people's names. And in some cases, I've taken multiple patient stories and melded them together just to help with the flow. But everything in here is true. It's all from my experience working as a healing touch professional. Excuse me. So I want to read you Linda's story. And here we go. When Linda checked in for surgery on Monday, the doctor predicted that she would spend one night in the hospital and go home the following day. But one night stretched into 2, and then 3, as doctors struggled to ease Linda's post-operative pain. When I entered her hospital room on Wednesday evening, Linda was propped up in her bed, furrows of misery etching deep creases in her pale face. As I extended my hands toward her, the space around Linda felt dense and heavy. When I moved my hands in the direction of her incisions, my palms detected heat and a jagged sharpness like broken glass. Holding my hands about 2 feet away from Linda, I began to slowly and gently move my outstretched fingers along the length of her body, from above her head to below her feet. Although my hands appeared to be moving through empty air, it felt as if I were pulling my fingers through a thick mat of tangled hair. Over the course of 30 minutes, the resistance slowly gave way. By this time, Linda had fallen into a deep sleep, which is a sign that self-healing has begun. Color returned to her face as the creases softened, but there was still more work for me to do. I held my motionless hands about 12 inches away from her incisions. I felt the energy of pain draining out of Linda's body and across my palms like water streaming from an open faucet. The nurse appeared, so I lowered my arms and stepped out of her way. When she saw Linda sleeping peacefully, the nurse came to an abrupt halt. "I don't know what you're doing," she said to me, "but keep doing it. She hasn't looked like that since she got here. I'm going to hold off on administering her next dose of pain medication." When the flowing sensation stopped, I repositioned my hands slightly, inviting fresh energy to flow from the space around us into Linda's body. Then I smoothed my hands around the area of the incision to repair the hole in her biofield. In closing, I set the intention for her continued healing. Linda went home the following day. This section is called biofield therapy. Although Linda's surgery may have saved her life, the surgeon's actions, cutting her body open and removing tissues, was as disruptive to her energy flows as a concrete dam. The stitches and swelling were evidence of the physical damage from surgery. What was not visually apparent was the gaping wound in Linda's biofield, allowing tiny bits of her life force energy to trickle out. Residual anesthesia was dampening her energy flow even further. The biofield damage interfered with her body's ability to initiate the healing process. By administering healing touch interventions, I was able to repair her biofield. With the flow of energy restored, Linda fell into a deep sleep as her body began the process of healing. Biofield therapy, also known as energy medicine, refers to various healing modalities designed to restore unimpeded flow of energy in our biofield, thereby maximizing our overall well-being. Examples of biofield therapies include healing touch, therapeutic touch, Reiki, acupuncture, and Qigong. I'm going to pause for just a moment and say earlier in the chapter, I introduced the definition of biofield, and it is a term that was coined by the National Institutes of Health. So it's not just some woo-woo thing that's made up in healing touch. Okay, moving on. In healing touch, we use the energetic vibrations emanating from our hands to move our client's energy, clearing away congestion, re-energizing flows, and sealing leaks. Developed in the 1980s by a Navy nurse, Janet Menken, the Healing Touch program is endorsed by the American Holistic Nurses Association, the Canadian Holistic Nurses Association, and the Watson Caring Science Institute. Healing Touch is taught in nursing schools and offered to patients in hospitals, VA facilities, and outpatient cancer treatment centers. On my website are videos produced by medical facilities that have added Healing Touch to their patient care protocols. As one of the nurses says in the VA's video, the best way to understand Healing Touch is to experience a session firsthand. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I will tell you the next section in the book is Where's the Evidence? And I go into some studies that have been done. I tell another client story. I talk about how to shield your energy and how to protect your energy and give you some tips for that in the rest of that particular chapter. So thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it so much. Now you have a better idea of what Healing Touch is all about. Have a lovely day.